Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with Volkmar the Grim and the Empire. Going to be taking on the foul Skaven, so let's get straight to the army compositions. Of course, Volkmar going to be leading the way for my forces here up on the chariot. He's got Banishment, Grand Soulfire, Grand Shield of Faith, and Grand Hammer of Sigmar. I've gone with a bit of a crusade themed build. We've got a front line of flagellants, a couple swordsmen, a couple spearmen with shields as well, hammer of witches, a couple empire knights, the royal altar of Griffites supported by a warrior priest, of course. We particularly have the banner of eternal flame here, which gives flaming damage to himself and the royal altar of Griffites. We've also got a bright wizard here with kindle flame, let's see here, fireball, cascading fire cloak, and the burning head. In addition, we've got a couple Pistoliers in the forest, and that's pretty much it for my build. For my opponent, he's got a Gracier, Lore Plague up on the bell, lots of Skaven Slave Spears, Skaven Slave Swords, we've got Clan Rats with shields, some Plague Monks, couple Rat Ogres, we've got some Night Runners and Gutter Runners in a group over here, and it looks like a Warp Lightning Cannon and a Doom Wheel. So a pretty good Skaven build, lots and lots of bodies, so we'll see how I'm able to deal with it here. You know, Skaven, one of those factions that people tend to think of as pretty weak, but if they're played in the right way, they can be very, very strong, and this is definitely a pretty decent build with lots of bodies. You know, it is lacking a little bit in counter cavalry tools, but I haven't brought that much heavy cavalry to begin with, so he does have the two Rat Ogres. The Doom Wheel will be surprisingly decent against heavy cavalry as well, just not against, obviously, like the Royal Altar of Griffites, but you can see this Gracier trying to dodge the shots of the Hammer of Witches there as we just kind of do some maneuvering. You can see I've maneuvered my Pistoliers through the forest, hidden the whole time up and around the side here. We're going to try and sneak them in behind and get at this Warp Lightning Cannon potentially. You can see the Gutter Runners and Night Runners kind of just hanging out in this area over here. I can sense that because there are so many numbers, I don't really want to run my Empire Knights out there and try and take them out, especially with the Rat Ogres supporting there. So just kind of sitting back in a more defensive position for now, waiting until my opponent gets a little bit closer, until we can spring a bit of a trap. So yeah, the Hammer of Witches hasn't connected too good so far. A couple more shots there, and it looks like another swing and a miss. My opponent doing a good job watching for those shots and dodging them, but we did manage to land a couple of decent hits there. Did some decent damage. You can see the Doom Wheel making its way over to the front line. Obviously, my Altar Griffite squad is hidden currently at the moment, so my opponent can't see them, but regardless, charging in this Doom Wheel like this, sort of unsupported, is a little bit risky. Granted, there is some Clan Rats and other units coming in supporting, but I'd really like to see this whole flank attacking at the same time. You know, just bringing everything across at the same time. As it is, though, the Doom Wheel's going to come in, get a quick charge on those flagellants, take a few out, try and come across and get a charge on some of these other infantry over here. The Warp Lightning Cannon has opened up shots, but the Pistoliers going over there. You can see my opponent sees that my Pistoliers are coming and actually very skillfully drops the pieces there. I should have engaged these guys into melee. I had them just on a shooting order on the Warp Lightning Cannon, but I should have just charged them into melee. We probably would have been able to take them out right there. But nonetheless, in the front line, spears supporting the Empire Knights as they charge into these Rat Ogres should be doing some good damage there. Meanwhile, Volkmar playing some bumper cars with the Doom Wheel here. It's continuing to charge around the front lines, and the Royal Altar of Griffite's going to come in. We're going to start to drop those buffs. Grand Hammer of Sigmar and the Grand Shield of Faith from Volkmar, with saving the one from the Warrior Priest there, means that this Doom Wheel is going to start to get torn to shreds. You can see some supporting Clan Rats here. Meanwhile, this other side flank here just getting torn apart. The Skaven really pushing through with a lot of numbers, but we've done both a Banishment and a Burning Head, both in the same pocket here, to just destroy all these troops here. Racked up quite a few kills already, 22 kills on the Bright Wizard. Fortunately for me, some Storm Vermin were summoned up in the back line there with the dreaded 13th spell and going to take out the Hammer of Witches. So this flank definitely falling. We have managed to do some good damage to the Gracier, though, with that Hammer of Witches, so definitely been cost effective, I would say, at the end of the day. Meanwhile, Volkmar and the Royal Altar of Griffites easily cleaning up the center pocket with the support of the Flagellants here, and In other pockets, though, the Skaven hordes blobbing up a little bit. My opponent definitely wants to should try and get these Plague Monks out and around and come in from the flank here, but you can see just the pure numbers are becoming an issue, and my Pistoliers managed to get caught up on a bunch of these Gutter Runners here and got counter-skirmished pretty well. You can see the Flagellants broke through the front line, though, and are going to be taking quite a few shots now from those Gutter Runners, so that's not great, but Empire Knights punching through. Just a lot of chaos and disarray at various points in the battle, but this particular kind of center Death Star here with Volkmar, the Royal Altar of Gryphites, these Flagellants just rolling around all together. We're going to drop that Soulfire there, and yeah, the Rats in this pocket going to be taking a lot of damage here. We're going to juice up with the Hammer of Sigmar from the Warrior Priest, and yeah, you can see the Plague Monks, the Gutter Runners in here, not too happy about their situation. They're going to be routed off, and this kind of Death Star is going to be key to winning this engagement. Although, with the Grey Seer being so low, I'm like, okay, maybe I can take the Royal Altar of Gryphites here. We're going to detach them from this other group here and have Volkmar support the infantry over on this side. Meanwhile, the Flagellants in the back line trying to get to that Warp Lightning Cannon, but unfortunately it is still online. Some very skillful play there by my opponent. But yeah, the Hammer of Witches getting taken out by Skaven Slave Spears managed to actually hold out against those summoned Storm Vermin, which is pretty impressive, all things considered. But you can see the Altar of Gryphites coming in. My opponent is going to summon up some Clan Rats to try and protect against them. Unfortunately, it looks like the charge order wasn't quite where it needed to be. But yeah, we are going to get in here and start to take down this Grey Seer here. Juice up with the Hammer of Sigmar, Cascading Fire Cloak, actually, it looks like. Pushing up their melee defense and giving them a bit more armor-piercing damage just so they can drag it down a bit faster. Meanwhile, over here, the Empire Knights and the Swordsmen getting routed off. Thankfully, though, Flagellants and Volkmar, of course, unbreakable, happy to just stand and take it here for a minute. Meanwhile, the Pistoliers have regrouped. Again, should have got a charge order in real quick. I wasn't microing my Pistoliers super well in this battle. We could have potentially shut down this Warp Lightning Cannon one more time. But as it is, we're just going to stand there point blank and take it to the face. Meanwhile, Volkmar pushing through. Another Burning Head going to go down on this side, supporting the cavalry here as we try and pull away from the Rat Ogres and the greater numbers of infantry. The Royal Altar of Gryphites, of course, relatively low model count. Really don't want to get bogged down by a whole bunch of Clan Rats and Skaven Slave Spears, and we've got Rat Ogres in here as well. Fortunately, the Warrior Priest got a little bit separated there, but Volkmar's coming back over to assist, and the Terror were able to quickly tear out some Rat Ogres that were coming to assist there, and now we're just punching through, trying to tear out everything that's left here so that we can finish off this Grey Seer. The Grey Seer himself gets terrified by the Royal Altar of Gryphites. They're taking some damage from those Rat Ogres, but as soon as they turn around and, you know, Volkmar's going to apply that rear charge penalty as well, these Rat Ogres are just not in for a good time at all. So they're going to get routed off, and just a huge terror rout in general in this pocket, which had been going very well for the Skaven, is going to start to tip the balance of power very decisively. You can see, despite the rest of the battlefield, which is very much going in the Skaven's favor, the Gutter Runners getting low on ammo. The Warp Lightning Cannon is down a... Oh, no, looks like it still has all three models, actually. Thought maybe it was down a model there, but we're able to shatter some of those Skaven slaves. The Plague Monks are not long for this world either. Got some regrouped swordsmen back there as well. So things are looking pretty decent, especially because Volkmar's in such good shape, and I mean, really, my opponent's stopping power at this point is all wrapped up in ranged units. This Warp Lightning Cannon definitely is still dangerous, but with Volkmar having the heavy magic and missile resistance, which is one of the reasons why I favor him. Not only are Chariots very good against the Skaven, but Volkmar's got 40% magic resistance on top of 15% missile resistance. So he's going to be mitigating, you know, 55% total of the damage of that Warp Lightning Cannon. Not to mention he has the regeneration, so he'll just heal whatever damage he does take. He's got lots of buffs. The Banishment is very good against the Skaven hordes, as you saw in this particular battle. So yeah, definitely like Volkmar quite a bit in this matchup. We're going to fast forward a little bit through this late game here as Volkmar charges forward. Empire Knights going in for one last glorious charge. They do manage to break some Skaven slaves in the periphery. Another beautiful Burning Head there. The Bright Wizard had been trapped up by those Night Runners, so he just called a Burning Head down upon himself and managed to rout off both of them. He's up to 139 kills in total from those Burning Heads. Big fan of that spell in this matchup. The leadership debuff is very good for terror bombing, and of course it does a ton of damage to low armor infantry. You can see the Skaven blobbing in here, trying to get at Volkmar, but I mean, he's on his pimp cart. He doesn't really care too much. The Warrior Priest on the back's getting some swings. And yeah, the banishment going right through those advancing plague monks there that had regrouped. We're going to drop that Grand Soulfire, and at this point, the army losses are just getting too close. VOLKMAR has gotten close to the Warp Lightning Cannons, and yeah, it is going to be critical army losses as the Skaven hordes retreat, fittingly, from the gates of Altdorf. So, a very fun thematic battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. Yeah, it's always fun taking VOLKMAR out for a spin against the Skaven. Definitely one of the better matchups for him. You can really get some good value, as I described. But yeah, in terms of the end of the battle there, 122 kills for VOLKMAR, 142 for the Bright Wizard. The Warrior Priest only getting 25, but helping to support those Royal Altdorf Crypt fights, racking up 152. Plus taking out the Doom Wheel, doing a ton of damage to the Grace here. I would definitely say that, you know, the Royal Altdorf Crypt fights here take home the game ball, so to speak, the MVP award. So the Hammer of Witches didn't get a whole lot of kills, but did some good damage to the Grace here and kind of forced my opponent to advance there. The Pistoliers, I didn't micro them super well. They could have done a lot more in terms of taking out that Warp Lightning Cannon and just annoying my opponent's backline a lot more. I didn't micro them super well, but certainly they could have been used to that effect. For my opponent's sake, very nice to micro with the Warp Lightning Cannon, dropping it, moving it away, moving some support in to take out the Pistoliers, and then you know, being able to bring it on back. The Doom Wheel early on was definitely a mistake. As soon as those Altdorf Crypt fights popped out of the forest, I don't know if my opponent just wasn't watching, but he should have immediately pulled that Doom Wheel back to his own lines and tried to protect, obviously, from the Royal Altdorf Crypt fights. They ended up just being a huge menace for my opponent, and he really didn't have too many answers for them besides the Warp Lightning Cannon, which, I mean, most of the time they weren't within direct range of the Warp Lightning Cannon because it was so far back. So a little bit of a positioning error there, I would say, although, you know, the Hammer of Witches would definitely outduel the Warp Lightning Cannon, so I do understand not wanting to be in range of that as well. So a bit of give and take there, but overall very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.